This interview is part of the History Heard project. The content of this interview may be used for historical research, however no part of the video itself may be reproduced without the express written permission of an authorized representative of History Heard or Tran Klein. Today is August 5th, 2010 at 2 p.m. This is an interview with Tran Klein in Bradenton, Florida. She was born January 15th, 1970 in Vietnam.
Growing up, and again in this time frame, that was from this perspective, from my perspective. From my mom's perspective, she was alone with us. She met other refugees, and among them was my stepdad, my now stepdad, who I just call Dad. It was really difficult on an emotional level because I still had memories of my father. I still love my father dearly. I still didn't understand why we were separated from my father. And there was resentment as a child. I did have resentment as a child. And as an adult, not to judge. Because honestly, it's so human. All of these things that my mom went through, the loneliness, coming over here, being by herself, not understanding language, that was beyond anything we were dealing with as kids. As kids, we were being totally protected, taken care of. Everyone tried to make everything happy for us. So, even though I felt that resentment, now I feel guilty for feeling that resentment. Because she was here by herself. She had my father's family, but she had to make things good for us on her own. And so she met my stepdad, and from here, I would call him my dad, and then to delineate between my dad and my biological father, I would call him Dad, and I would call my biological father, Father. And then in Vietnamese, I would call my stepdad Ba, which is the southern dialect way of saying father or dad. And then the northern one would be Bo, and so my biological father I call Bo. So it's interesting how you try to kind of figure things out. And it all works in the end.
Yeah.
It all works in the end. But to give them each their due respect, because my dad really provided as much as he could for us. All the way through in terms of schooling, in terms of shelter, in terms of Disney World, Disneyland, and so, I love them both so much and just respect them so much for the things that they've provided for us. And that's how we kind of, call each other, or my sisters and I have given them that respect. And then so my mom met my dad, who is a refugee as well. He helped her out. Obviously they fell in love. We have no idea. Because at the time, of course, it's not as if they would talk to us about those things. And he stayed with us. So he stayed with us, and he took care of us, helped us take care of us, taught us, along with my mom, and helped my mom when she gave birth to my youngest sister, Titi. My middle sister is Huang, her name is Huang. My youngest sister, her name is Dung An, but we call her Titi. And I still call them that. And then so, from there, we moved to San Jose with my dad. My father, in the meantime, was still in Vietnam. And you know this story as well. He was actually on his way over to America to meet us, and he was actually caught with his cousin's gun. I believe it was his cousin. Again, we would call him back, but so I believe it was his cousin or a good friend. He was caught with his gun, and the interesting thing about it in terms of decisions and the repercussions of decisions, he didn't want to take the gun, but because he was traveling, his cousin or good friend said, no, you need it for protection, you have to take it, and in the meantime, so my father took it, out of respect, and also just, well, he didn't know if he might have needed it. He was helping another family, thinking that in his Buddhist way, in karma, in terms of karma, that by helping this family, maybe someone else was helping us, and which is true. We had so much good luck and good fortune, and a lot of good people who helped us. But so that was what he was caught with, because of course the Vietcong were searching people and searching, and in the family, when they found the gun where he was staying with the family, while he was out either at the market getting something, or I think it was at the market is what he had told me. They found the gun, and of course this young family, again, decisions. Do you give up your own family? Or, they had to tell who it belonged to kind of protect their own family. So there, again, you can't make judgments, And so my father was caught, and he was in the prison camp. He was placed in a prison camp in the meantime while we were in the United States. And in the prison camp, and again, these stories I've only heard as I became an adult. And so I've learned more and more over the years. And the reason for him being there, and also he never talks about any of the bad stuff, which I'm sure, it's a prison camp. It's not going to be fun. But what he does talk about are the inspirational moments. And I think that that's my father's way of teaching us, in terms of no matter how bad it gets, there are always good things. There are always good things and good people. For example, one story was with the farmers, the local farmers, who took pity on the prisoners, and they would bury bananas in the mud, so that my father and other prisoners could dig them up later and eat them as a treat, because I'm sure they were given rice and some protein. And then the other inspirational story that sticks out in my memory and in my mind, and kind of carries me through, whenever I feel like something bad is happening. It's not that bad. My father was at some point tied to a tree, either as punishment or for something. And it was raining, it was storming, and it was pretty much, he was so depressed at that point, he told us that he was so depressed at that point, and he looked up and he saw the wind going through the trees and the palms. And in Florida, of course, whenever I see the wind going through palm trees, it elicits this emotion in me. And he said, if there's so much beauty in the world, how can I give up?